Coincidence?
There's no such thing as coincidence.
There he is.
Somebody said that.
Here we go.
Nope. Oh, there he is.
You're coming through your computer, not your mic.
All right.
Now I got to switch the names all up and shit. He's all late.
I can leave.
Where were you?
Is that better?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. No, we were doing some photography stuff for fitness photos. My wife wanted to practice some stuff. Yeah, I was the model. And I know how to use the off-camera flash and stuff like that.
Yeah, if she had a proper gimbal, this wouldn't.
So it was just you and the wife?
Yeah, and Odin. Odin got in on the camera action.
Nice.
Nice.
He was
Funny part. We just hope someday we can get on a podcast for 3 hours and talk about ourselves and our, you know. Are we on the air?
Yeah, we're we are live, y'all. You guys all good? Sally, what's that you're sipping on? That looks delicious.
It is apple wine from the old Easton Wine Project.
Nice.
Yeah, they were nice enough to donate a couple bottles because I told them how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I saw you went out wine tasting with lovely ladies. All right, we're good. Everybody's good.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. What's going on? Yeah, we're on. Yeah, we know it's filling up in here already at twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. Glad to see you guys joining us. Hopefully, your midweek's going well. I know it gets crazy this time of back to school and all that kind of shit, man. The madness just seems to get amped up. So glad if you're with us, you can escape for a little while. Oh, yeah. Smashing his mic, doing macho stuff. It's Conspiracy Horsemen. We're here live Wednesday nights. You can always find us on Realm Brand and Hacker Hameen Brand. About 24 hours afterwards. Also on my YouTube, Ben Hameen, easy to find that way. Usually try and export them within a week. So if you want to see the video, it's up there. Even if you're not a Realm Brand member, you can find us almost everywhere. Spotify. I think something's up with Google Play Music. Hacker Hameen on iTunes. But once again, twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. Appreciate you guys being the coolest kids on the block and tuning in, filling up that chat room, watching us live, infidels. But you know how it goes. It's broken glass everywhere. If it ain't about no money, Stevie just don't care. It's GGP, that good fella, fly guy, sometimes wise guy. Spend time with Big Sal and Ben Hameen, infidels. The Conspiracy Horsemen, we're here tonight. And you might not want to lag too far behind because you might get lost, eaten up in the triangle, the vortex, the ley lines, the energy. The black hole might come and take you away, infidel, so stick close to the veterans here on the Conspiracy Horsemen. Y'all.
That's a circle, Sal.
That was the 666. He's fine.
He was shouting out his CERN boys.
Yeah, CERN boys.
HR department.
Hey, I actually reached out to Tim Alberino again because they've got, I don't want to plug a ton of their stuff, but they had, they're coming up on the 14th. They're even selling a digital ticket for, it's like a Holocaust of the Giants conference and all that kind of stuff they're going to talk about and some CERN stuff. So I sent him a message to see if he wanted to come back on either today or, next week before they do it. Maybe help try and sell some tickets, but I haven't heard anything back yet. But who I have heard from is GGP. What's going on, man?
I'm just looking forward to another grand and glorious episode of the Conspiracy Horsemen. It's good to know that 3 out of the 4 guys were on time, being professional, and the 4th one decides to show up late, same exact time as his groupie. I mean, I don't know. Coincidence? And we're not talking about Chainsaw Charlie from
Oh, shit, man. Yeah, I hope we're talking about is you beating Disco Inferno's little protege there, showing him how how the Horsemen really do it. If he wants to talk about being an Italian in the business, we got 2 of them right now, and the biggest one of all, well, maybe not of all time, but our giant.
Primo was taller than me.
Was he? Big Sal. We'll take it. We'll take it.
I was cooler.
You're the most beloved, man. So how's it going, Sal? You doing good?
We don't know. That's coming. That we'll find out.
There's a lot of hate this week for Sal. It got crazy.
Yeah, it's good times. I like
God
it.
forbid you voice your own opinion on
Keeps me warm, man. I don't give a fuck. So anyway, yeah, we're Doing good. We're on a creative roll. We had a lot going on this week. Finished the other episode of the other show that I was doing, and then started
What's the
another
name of
one.
the other show?
Oh, the horror. Just hang on, horror junkyard.
Wow, way to plug
Yeah.
this shit.
It's not the end of the show. I got to prepare, man. I got to keep the shit segmented. I have a lot to talk about today.
See, Stevie, you come in and we're all fucked up for you being late. He's all frazzled. He was worried about you.
I worry about Stevie a lot.
You know, he thought you drowned in your apartment with all the leaks. You know.
It's a whole lot of obstacles that get me in, before I even get into this room. Then I trip over the
double
desk.
dip.
There's a whole.
Yeah.
I just want to answer. What was Papa Don's intro again about me? That he was I was unprofessional and not on time, and I
You on
speak
6.5
and I speak sideways into the microphone. No, that's actually not me.
No. See, it's not sideways. I knocked it.
It's okay. I mean,
How's doing
we're a year and 3 weeks in. I mean, that's great. You're doing great, buddy.
He's getting it. He's finally getting it.
I'm glad I got the Church of Satan. Stevie Satan approval.
They no sold. Ben. I was expecting some sort of comeback on that.
Hold on a second.
I set him up, right? I set him up to get it.
You are surprised by that they no sold. That's just a reflection of you, the captain of no selling. So you should not be. They're following in your ways. The prophets, your apostles, your little demons. They're all following in your footsteps.
Well,
They all got their red bands. They're looking for doorknobs. They're good to go, bud.
well, my apostles, not my
That's what I said.
apostles.
No, I didn't say apostles. I said
Play it
apostles.
back.
Go ahead, play it back.
What do you say?
You were both wrong. He said apostles.
Yeah, if
AP.
they're Italian, they're the apostles.
Yeah, the apostles. It's a new religious cartoon from the Vatican, and kids are gonna love it.
Now, I didn't say this in the messenger earlier, but are we covering Stargates as well? Since you did say you reached out to
You
San
have to.
Alberino.
We
No,
can
no,
cover.
that's
We
why-
can,
Hey,
hey, dude.
Put in your pants, Sal.
I didn't know if a Stargate was just going to be another synonym for what we're talking about.
It very well could
No,
be
no.
as they fell in the
Seriously,
theory.
we have
theory.
to. I have so many theories I have to share with you guys.
Okay.
I had some fucking mind. I didn't do any drugs, and I have some mind-expanding shit going on. So we have to cover this.
Excellent. Well,
Ladies and gentlemen,
I know.
prepare to have your mind blown by Big Sal.
I'm just saying. I am
And
just
if your
saying.
name is Mind, you're lucky.
Ah.
Call me mind. Yeah, man. Somebody says Mike lowers and me. I think it was me on my end. I pushed the faders up here a little bit, but yeah, if GGP close as you can to the mic, that'd be
If I get
over.
any closer, I'll be dethroning this thing, and I don't want
Well,
to do that.
all
Sorry. It's not going to get me booked.
Gets paid extra, but
That definitely gonna get you booked. But yeah, we're gonna talk Bermuda Triangle, ley lines, vortexes, wherever it takes us, and you know that's the rabbit hole we go down.
Stargates, portals, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
This is from my my compadre over there, Stevie.
Mexican
Who
guy?
are the- No, compadre. I didn't say bad hombre. Calm down. What are the two stories that you wanted to tell us? You said you want to save on air. Let's start the
There's a-
show like that.
There's a specific story, and it was all over Facebook. It went viral. There was a homeless veteran that had helped this woman out. Do you remember he actually used his last $20 to go get gas for her car? They started a GoFundMe. They raised $400,000. Dude, it's going to get real quick, because here's what happened. My wife told me when she read about it and showed me the deal. So they raised $400,000 so this guy can get back on his feet, get a home, get everything done. So the dude only got 75 grand. The girl and her husband who ran the GoFundMe, who he helped with the gas, spent 325 grand on a BMW or a Mercedes or BMW, a brand new car, and multiple vacations. and now they're being sued. Now they're they committed fraud.
Do
Essentially.
they
I
work
would-
for Susan G. Komen or something?
Now, if I was that vet, I would go and Rambo, John J. Rambo, the whole family, and fucking just do it right then and there.
75K wasn't enough.
Yeah, keep that 75K and just fucking Gary Ola the whole rest of that family. Be like, oh, they must have committed suicide.
What about the second
what-
story?
I forget about the second story. I don't
You said
forget
it
about
was
that.
something about
It's gonna
WWE.
get people hot.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the whole Connor Cure thing.
Well, yeah, I wanted to-
the Justin Roberts story. How he was actually the
Yeah.
the mediator. What's the intermediary? He was the guy that
The
set everything up
liaison.
with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And they essentially, from what he says, we're basically like, we're gonna book this kid to be Daniel Bryan's friend. Not, I'm paraphrasing it, but they created the whole, and Daniel Bryan's a great guy, and I'm sure he really cared for the kid and everything. But this was strictly that Stephanie McMahon on the stage talking about marketing and philanthropy.
Yep,
And
that's the way of
was
the future.
This was patient zero, no pun intended.
It absolutely was. Sorry, I don't want to cut in, but that's what was getting me
He
because
passed away. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, never mind.
yeah. But now, like we're
So kind of terminal.
I wanted to bring this up on Russo last night. I didn't, but I was thinking, whose job is that, and how do they feel to have to go through and have on a wall someplace like an FBI, they're putting the case together. Who are the top 5 picks of kids who are possibly terminal that they can make the most money off of, or that's going to make them look the best? Who's the best character? Oh, the kid's a minority. He's got this disease. He's the most camera friendly, what have you. Like that's somebody's job that they have to do that. Now, do they hate themselves like it's supremely, or is their heart that black where they're like, I'm doing great work here? Because they are going to do something for that one kid. But think about that's your gig with them through the philanthropy marketing part of
Here
things.
you go, man. Let me just say, if your heart's black at that point, you don't give a fuck. You don't care.
Are you that much of a mark for WWE to want to do that? That's actually probably more specific.
That's completely different. Those fucking assholes are black-hearted. They don't give a fuck as it is. If you're a bigger mark, then you're like, oh, that's not the way it works. Just because it's WWE, then that's on you, and you can go fuck yourself.
Now is my story, from you three guys, what you've heard, if you've heard anything, is my story that I've heard off base for the Justin Roberts part. I think it's in his book.
Yeah, it is. It is, and he was open about it too, and that's what burned the bridge, because they had to pull up the drawbridge. He's not welcome back because he's stooging off what we're really trying to do business plan wise, and show that we might come out here and look and take pictures with everybody and look like the perfect family. But at the end of the day, they are doing good, but they are also doing exploitation.
Right. Yeah. Well, remember, 100% of net profits. This is a Red Cross and whatever other charity type of thing. Like, hey, we're not going to lose a dime on this thing. We're still going to cover things in order to, so the charity isn't really, you're given something, but how much in American Red Cross and other charities have pumped up their expenses to make the net, right? Am I wrong?
Dude,
including salaries and stuff like that. And then your net profits are after that. Do I have any proof of that with WWE? No, but it seems to be 100% consistent with every charity that we talk about, including that Susan B. Komen thing, which is like a complete work.
Yeah.
The only charity that I know of off the top of my head that gives 100% of its donations to the actual charity itself is Schneider's Children's Hospital. I know there's a bunch of children.
Schneider's?
Yes.
Shriners.
No, Schneider, they wear cigarettes in their shit and they have a tool belt on.
What? Is it Shriners?
Apartments, right?
That's why they call them the super.
They go around fixing cancer kids' apartments.
Oh, that was a solid
Mono.
reference, dude. I was
Wow,
not ready
that's
for a
not-
Schneider drop. Holy shit.
So you can give what you can to Schneider's Hospital.
Schneider's Hospital.
You know what? Okay, I deserve it. I fucked up. So what?
No, I like that name better than Shriners.
It's all right. He called Susan G. Coleman Susan B. Coleman, which was fine too. It's Susan B. Anthony and Susan G. Coleman. But their bottom line is they're not getting that shit. Isn't an original idea in their head. They're stealing that from the Red Cross, Susan G, all that whole that whole foundation. So they know what the model is behind in their billionaires club, and they're like, hey, we've got a vehicle for that. Let's do it. How about the other vehicle they've got to move the satanic agenda as we push around the poster full gargoyle Baphomet underpinnings on Braun Strowman as he hovers over the devil of Roman Reigns.
Let's just point this out. They neither of them look like Baphomet or anything like that.
They've got the horns.
He's got the horns. That doesn't mean shit. That just you're some sort of a fucking.
It's
gay
implied.
demon
It's
on that poster.
implied, regardless.
It's not implied. It's just they're trying to look demonic.
If he just had gargoyle horns, he'd just have his own little devil horns. He's got the curled.
That doesn't. What does that mean? It means shit. Stop it.
What's the
Dude.
name of the pay-per-view?
Hell in the Cell.
Right.
There you go. It has to do with the hell marketing scheme that people are saying that all demons go to hell or all demons reside in hell.
I was just actually talking to somebody in a Hellraiser chat room, and they were
Was it
talking.
hot?
It was. They were talking about the Hell in the Cell. A lot of the old graphics were the chains with the hooks and the fucking everything, cutting around. And they were talking about, they were explaining how the Hell in the Cell had that whole Hellraiser vibe. And again, I'm going to reference back to the art nerds of yesterday are now the guys in charge of graphics for WWE today. So
Right. No, they're the same dudes who are into what we're doing, and they're just putting it in there. You know what I mean?
And of course, that's a rib. Everybody's like, oh, watch
Yes.
this will be great.
But at the end of the day, that is indoctrination.
Well, here's the thing. With, I wouldn't say indoctrination. Desensitivity might be more of a word for that.
Sure.
But this is a place where they handcuff just about everything that they can do. There's nothing that doesn't go through the red tape. It's nothing slips through the cracks.
Right.
Creatively might be compartmentalized, but these marketing materials, there's real suits making real money.
Yes.
With real jobs on the line if they fuck this up. If they put out a narrative, they can cost sponsorships, licensing fees, live events. Associations can come after them. So to put forth that kind of stuff, and Vince has done it all along. So we've said it before. If Hillary Clinton, if all these sick fucks, if whether it's real or not, if they believe it, then there is validity to their belief. Whether it's different than Sal's, Sal has a different take on the whole thing. That's not what they're trying to promote, in my opinion.
That started on a creative team, went to designers, came back to the creative director, went to a boardroom for first sign-offs, then went to an executive desk and said, yeah, then was okayed and cleared by wherever they're going to advertise it.
And these posters were made there's different posters that are made for the entire year. So they might be changed a little bit with the people, especially if they're hurt or if they're not champ anymore or whatever. But it's so kind of uniform over the year where the spots never change anyway, that these posters essentially design-wise are already confirmed and approved. So there's plenty of time to say, whoa, wait a minute, what do we have here, And it's just, it's very...
The fact that Google put that on there as their top card of odd WWE poster. They made sure that was the news item, number one on the cards that I know, excuse me, personally on Google, when, what you follow, you type in, I want to follow this, I want to follow that. That was at the top of my shit today. It was like odd WWE poster. And I was like, all of a sudden now they're making a big deal about it and actually broadcasting it.
Well, they could just, it doesn't have to even be that, having worked in ad agencies and whatnot, whatever that trend is of what they think is going to happen. Oh, Illuminati, satanic worship is hot. Let's just mix that in because it's going to be seen other places. And we actually had one of you guys, put it out over to us as you came through the Denver airport. I didn't see them last week. A couple of weeks ago, and I walked right through that area that was all under construction over there, and there were some other murals and stuff, but it was like these Mexican villages. It wasn't anything like too shocking, but dude, they played right into it and are doing a full Illuminati like hush satire campaign on the construction stuff.
Are they, or are they just hiding it in plain sight?
No, my point is, yes, it could be either or, right? But my point is, here's two examples of mainstream marketing of what, Nancy Brown's not going to get that shit of what Blucifer is, and that there's reptilians underneath here, or the Illuminati shit, right? But here we have it.
The horse, that's for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, but then we also have Illuminati with Taco Bell, WWE with Satanism. Like, dude, it's just everywhere you look, conditioning. And is it truly desensitization and operant conditioning, or is it that this underground shit that the conspiracy theorists were into, we're going to make mainstream just as a marketing tool?
Could be either
Yeah.
or.
Yeah.
I think it's more this latter.
Yeah, I would go with the latter. Just like when we were talking about the Teen Titan stuff. Now it's all put in there to kind of rib people, and that's meant for the dad watching with the kids. That's not meant for the kids, and it's just kind of there to be like, haha.
Or
fuck
is
you,
it?
You know?
But it still
What
has
the
some
fuck?
effect,
That's
right?
the third
Even
time you flip-flopped, you cocksucker.
I'm running for office.
It's, dude, it's just there's so much money on the line, especially WWE with a stock price about to hit $100. To put stuff out there just to rib. That's like saying all the
Right.
predictive programming out there is just trolling and ribbing everybody, and just saying essentially these events just happen. So it's not predictive programming. We have a good beat on the pulse of how events occur over and over again in a loop. So we're just going to throw it out there. I've seen that reasoning.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just trolling because the events say, because everybody, I mean, every 10 years, a couple towers are hit near New York City. So we know it's going to happen all the time. So put it on TV. An exact scenario, lone gunman, where the exact buildings are getting hit like months before it happens. This is when money's on the line, that we'll say, okay, you control, you can do whatever and anything. We all agree that these people that run WWE at least are selfish fucks, are greedy. They want money. They want power. They want penetration in all the markets all over the world. They don't care what government there is, how many people they kill, how they treat women, whatever it is. We'll take your money.
Stop.
Why would they sacrifice this for a poster to just rib people?
Stop talking bad about Uncle Paul and Aunt Stephanie. I don't appreciate it.
Yeah. That is the other interesting side of the coin, how it has to go through all that executive process, get weighed out, and what's the payoff for them in the risk. Like, I'm willing to risk it all for this goddamn poster. I love it.
But now, here's the thing. Do you think
they're
they're
just
risking anything?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
The people are going to buy this shit regardless. It doesn't matter.
No one's gonna buy anything. It's all on the network.
Not when
Doesn't
you're
matter.
dealing with religious fundamentalists now. Like,
Listen.
not when they're putting billions in your fucking pocket, dude.
I hate to break it to you guys, but you have a church where you're having 300 priests molest 1,000 kids over the course of years, and no one's blinking an eye. No one's gonna batter a fucking comment over a poster. It's art.
We're talking about it, and it was on Google News at a top story. I think.
Yeah.
You know why? You know why it's on Google News?
Because
it's
controversy.
Again, because of All In drawing 11,000 fans. No, they put on Yahoo that Cody won the belt. When was the last time you seen the NWA Championship?
That just proves how much. That just proves how much people aren't buying this shit. If that stuff is mainstream news right now, that WWE needs to really be careful about losing their money, because their stuff is not interesting or entertaining.
But their shit hasn't been entertaining, and their shit hasn't been interesting. People are still gonna watch, and that's the thing. Like, they don't care. Vince can sit in a tub and fart, and they'll watch it. It just doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, we'll see if they listen to this now.
Yeah, we'll see if that's on the show next month. Hey, we got to get to. It was requested that we start off with Conspiracy Horseman mailbag. There's no way we're going to be able to get through all of these, you guys. I know we've been delinquent on it, so we're going to try and do some here. But let's do it. What's that?
Let's just do a few this way.
Yeah,
Next week.
Absolutely.
Skip Hans's emails, because that's going to take fucking 12
Well, he
years.
did donate to the Church of Stevie.
That's true.
So
We're out of business. We only made $5. No more roof. The roof is gone.
yeah.
Oh no!
It's on
After
fire.
that violent storm, awful. Nothing, huh? Okay, fair enough. Let's move on.
Sorry, I was getting bitched out here in this email.
I was staying silent like Joel Osteen during the flood.
Ah,
That little deep cut right there.
You know, he got rewarded for his efforts during the flood, and he
Got
accepted
it.
the award. Piece of shit.
He's good.
What a fucking scam artist,
He's good.
man. Holy
Church is
shit.
awesome. Church is fucking best, you guys. No ants in Antarctica. Hey, fellas, big fan from Australia, from Paul Shearer. Originally from Tasmania, the island right above Antarctica. I just wanted to tell you that you're pronouncing Antarctica wrong. The way to say it is Antarctica rather than Antarctica. Other than that, I have no...
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Right? Am I
And-
saying it right?
Antarctica.
And in
Antarctica.
this corner, the crafter.
From Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Other than that, I have no issues. Great show. Keep up the good work on shows. I'm finding it all very enlightening, and Ben and Stevie remain more entertaining on the Raw SmackDown Review show than the WWE product itself. Take it easy, guys. Pete Shearer, not Paul Shearer. Pete
That's
Shearer.
right. You guys are a pisser.
That's right. From Hans, Shalom Horseman. My apologies for not getting on Twitch the past few weeks. 56-hour work weeks are killing me, bro. My job is constant
You don't know
physical.
how to work, Hans. Who you kidding?
My job is constant physical labor. It's not like I'm sitting behind a desk for closing on senior citizens. I'm going to try and keep this short, kind of. First, Amaretto is writing a book and saying, oh, what's her name?
Amorosi. right?
Amorosi, yeah, he says Amaretto. Is writing a pudding and saying Trump is mentally unfit to run the country. What medical schooling does she have to diagnose the Donald? Then you put out requests for suggestions on new shows, content, and such. I would love to hear Big Sal and GGP do a show going through MCU half review format, half pointing out symbolism and predictive programming. I know you guys
There is none.
what is MCU? Marvel
the
Comics.
Marvel
Universe.
Comic
Okay.
Universe.
I know you guys have real jobs, wrestling and family life. So if you cannot I totally get it. If so, there's 20 movies, and if you do one movie every 2 to 3 weeks, that would match up.
Oh, he wants us to do the Marvel story.
Oh, the Marvel. Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
Which would match up with the Avengers movie next May. Side note, GGP, what the fuck, bro? You can draw like that, and that's not your career. Not blowing smoke, and it's fucking pains me to say this, but your art is half better than half of DC. I need you to draw me something, and Mosier is gonna link it on me. Yalla Hans.
If the price is right, I'll draw whatever you want, my man.
you go.
No freebies here. When you do something good, you don't do it for free.
Let's see.
By the way, Sal is also a very talented drawer as well.
Yeah.
But I do it for free.
Not for Hans, you won't.
Nice.
For Hans, I will definitely draw for free, Hans.
Well, then you beat me to it. You can take it. You can have the job.
You know, I missed a little Easter egg with the Brie Bella Bremo dive when she did it. Her sister was doing the yes chant.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was just kind of like yes, and then she fell and
Yeah, they came out like, yes, better her than me. Fuck that. From Chad Calder. Hey, Horseman, time to shine Ben up a bit. Okay, I like how this is starting off. I was there from the beginning, back when Ben was spouting his quote-unquote crazy rants on the wrestling show that shall not be named, and listening to him talk about his discomfort at being Ben instead of Ben. I enjoyed listening to him so much that I started following Hacker Hameen's Hardcore Happy Hour and listening to the Impact reports when I didn't even watch Impact. Thank you. He then turned me on to the Infinite Fringe, and I was there listening when it was the formation of the Horsemen. I'm very grateful to the Horsemen in general, but Ben in particular. I was a big conspiracy guy back in the 90s, but after 9/11, there were just so many asinine conspiracies flying around that were just crap, combined with the stupidity of ancient alien shows, like Searching for Alien Gold. I was a big Ancient Aliens believer until the show came on. So much of what they talk about is paper thin crap that I had given up on truth seeking. I'm now back in the game. I'm very skeptical now, but I am back looking thanks to Ben. Well, thanks to all of us. Appreciate that, though. I'll never say that 100% agree with Ben, but no matter what he says, great, good, or crap, I will listen, then judge for myself whether preaching Rip's method, which I 100% agree with, or his take on chemtrails, which I 100% disagree with. Ben, you have my respect. The most outstanding thing about the Horsemen as a whole is the camaraderie. I've been out of the business for 12 years now, broken neck, multiple concussions. Holy shit, guy. But listening to you guys takes me right back to the locker room and car trips, shooting the shit and busting on each other to 100 more. Oh, and GGP, when it comes to kid touchers, I'm right there with you, especially since my 2 girls were born. Hang 'em all. Thanks, man. That was a very kind email, and I'll humbly say, I've been emboldened by being able to have these other 3 guys do this with me. A lot of times when it was FWZ, they could get a little sketchy where they would want to steer the ship back, and I wasn't trying to overthrow the boat, rock the boat too much and overthrow the regime there. But now we've got our own thing, and kind of thankful for that. So what's that?
You're the captain now.
Yeah, well, no,
Yeah, you go down with this shit.
there's a lot of people here steering this ship. All of our producers. You go down where? Down there. That's right.
By the way, I'm marking out for Sal because every time he's typing on the computer, the way his camera's angled, it looks like Darth Vader flying the typewriter.
From Jeff, Social Security number question, Jeffrey Yapunachik. Dear Horseman, Wednesday the 8th, my lovely lady gave birth to our little horseman Benjamin. Congratulations. And Ben Hameen, my little
Named
lady.
after his dad.
And for our 2 days in the hospital, I was struck by a number of things which I will detail below. Ben was immediately slapped with a house arrest looking security bracelet, and I was told that he cannot go off the floor or it would be locked down. They said that's standard and for our security. So I'm under the impression I could not have taken my kid home if I wanted to, even though him and I were not under official medical supervision. We were told we could not leave until we got the Social Security number applied for and the birth certificate all in order. Of course, we needed these numbers and documents, but it really made me wonder if the hospital just put out a security bracelet on him in order to not let an unlicensed and undocumented human being out into the world who was not technically entered into the government system. Wow, that's pretty profound. Have you ever covered anything regarding Social Security numbers or birth certificates? If so, do you have a 2-minute primer you could give? If not, please don't feel the need to read my long email. Too late, brother. Getting ready to start my Stevie Richards Fitness Band program once things settle down with the baby. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, thank you, man. Good email. Good questions. We did kind of do a little bit on the Social Security number, right, when it related back to the alleged story. I mean, this has become, what do you call it, folklore at this point, urban legend. Of a guy who found out that, there's actually a bank account under every person's Social Security number that does nothing but accrue interest. And I'm just putting a number out here. It's worth $10 million maybe, right, for each person. Like, you have a value on your life because of it. And he was able to borrow off that. And once it happened, they were like, fuck that. He found the loophole, shut it down. And like, now it's kayfabed. Is that, am I getting the story wrong?
No, that's right. You're right.
Okay.
Spot on.
You go on YouTube, it's still up there.
Okay. So, I mean, but to go with his question, how about this bag 'em and tag 'em as soon as they come out of the womb? What do you guys think?
Well, they do that for security reasons.
Sure.
Right, they don't want you to sell that kid.
Yeah, there's plenty of like crazy ladies who would, I'm sure it happened, who stalk, in the 70s
not only that, but also
shit.
the bracelet has the number that matches the mother's, I would imagine, the parents' ID bracelet. This way they don't mix the children up.
Yeah.
All babies look alike.
Well, I mean, to ask you this, why not just chip them?
Well,
why not just do that?
Put a little tag in their ear.
I'm sure there's somebody out there saying that it'll be presented like these kids will not get kidnappings will go down like 75%.
Absolutely.
Child trafficking, all this stuff. All we have to do is when your baby's born, we slip this little RFID chip in their wrist or their forearm, and you'll never have to worry about your kid again.
No thanks.
And somebody will,
kid.
well, that's the other thing. People might be like, well, instead of putting a GPS in their car, now you have a GPS on them. But then you have everybody, that means someone else has a GPS on them as well. And it's, this is cattle, man. I mean, it's symbolic of having a cattle born. That's all it is, whether for security purposes or anything like that. That's what it is. There should be better security in the hospital.
Again,
that's another thing.
In the room, bracelet prevents children being kidnapped. Infant low jack.
Baby Jack. That's our new product.
Infant low jack. That's nice.
So like, here's the thing. What if they put a chip in the kid, and if you can't pay for it, they fucking blow it up?
Hold your kid hostage.
Dude, there is a thing that's a real thing that they talked about, shutting people down, or if you don't pay, hitting you with the shock, like the Pavlovian thing. If you don't pay your bill, there's all sorts of stuff. That's what the people that say the very worst that can happen from having that cashless society, having your credit cards and your entire identity in that chip is when you. All right, say you upload a video. It's just like that apocalypse or shadow banning or anything. Say you don't put something up on your social media that does not coincide with the government. China's doing it right now, right, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely.
The social media score.
Social media score.
So if that's all digitally kept on your body, on your person, what's keeping them from like saying he just said he was going to kill somebody on Facebook? Like, we got to shut him down, and they send.
Leave me out of this.
What's that? Leave you out of it.
That was a grisly sip of fucking vodka right there.
Just because you're listening, because your hearing is slurred, motherfucker. Don't throw that on me.
You slurp that like you were.
That hurt my throat.
Tasty. I'm gonna go for that.
That hurt my throat right there, bro. Fuck, drinking that skull vodka straight up.
Hey, people that think that there's no possible way that can happen, how do you know what kind of technology, if that chip is activated wirelessly and constantly? Let's not forget about 5G and wireless connectivity like Wi-Fi. We still don't know the dangers of having Wi-Fi blanket your house, blanket a city.
We will. First 5G city going live this year. So
yeah, but I want to
make
make one quick
news,
point.
though?
That Wi-Fi is going through your blood, through your body now, inside your skin.
But fucking Skype will never fuck up again.
Yeah, right. Did you guys hear the news, though?
What's that?
That this 5G stuff, they put a ban on having 5G in the neighborhood where Donald Trump resides in Florida. They won't put it up in his neighborhood.
No, never heard it. Didn't hear it.
Yeah, it came out this week. They're saying it's too much of a nightmare.
For security.
The towers, because of the way the streets are and everything is positioned.
Yeah.
That it would be too much of a clusterfuck to put up these towers all over the place. So they're not putting it up in where he resides in his little town in Florida.
Oh,
so
that's convenient.
I don't know if that's a coinkydink or.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's going to be interesting topics of discussion of how they can track you every which way, and is the microchip thing actually going to take off? We covered that in the Wisconsin talk and what they're doing in Switzerland. And congratulations from us on having your little Ben Hameen. But the other part of that is at least you're aware to the world he's coming into, and you can point that out and see it. Don't shake him out of his. I mean, let him be a kid, obviously. But I'm sure you're going to raise him with a fair amount of
John Connor, that kid.
Yeah, dissent. Yeah, right. So. That is the greater part of it. So I don't know if that urban legend about are we a walking bank account with the Sims tag hanging over our head, whether what our value is, and we can't touch it, and that means we're just a commodity for somebody else, and who is trading that and who is benefiting off that money. Those are interesting questions. The other part is definitely some Brave New World shit. And some Nazi shit, really, of put the number on the people. It's just not as bold as tattooing it on them yet, right?
Well, it's funny. They say the Nazis lost World War II, but ideally, it looks like they freaking won.
Yeah, dude.
Because all they did was front assault, and they failed at the front assault. Now come from behind when nobody's expecting it.
Yeah, but dude,
from behind, not the Nazis.
A lot of, and then we have NASA based off everything that their major projects were. There's absolutely,
all their ideologies are now incorporated into the government, into our way of life. It's ridiculous.
Yep, it's on. All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll wrap it up. And you guys, I know there's a lot in here, so if we haven't gotten to yours, apologies. We're going to try to. Maybe we'll just do – maybe next week we'll do, unless we get Alberino or somebody to come on, we'll 9/11 update, and we'll try and get through the mailbag. I mean, that probably –
or the Hulk comet might pass by and kill everybody. Who knows?
Let's do that, too. I'm down with that. It's been a rough week already. All right. Yeah. Thanks for the shout out from the ex-Mormon, Chris Hams. Hey, Horseman, happy belated anniversary. First off, I want to say thanks for Ben for putting over my email as one of our favorite fan moments of the year. You're welcome. I thought it might be a good idea to briefly walk through my journey of leaving Mormonism, if only because I feel like it could help other truth seekers struggling with a separation between logic and belief. I've always tried to question things. My Opa used to tell me in part of being German, my Opa and my Oma moved to Canada after World War II, but for some reason I always seemed to have a block up when it came to my belief in the church. In fact, even when it came to my other faith, my mind was always clinical, could easily point out the flawed logic and arguments, but not Mormonism. Wow. There was something stopping me from thinking clinically and logically about my own faith. I operate heavy equipment for a living, so listening to podcasts throughout the day, I'm into hockey, boxing, MMA, and sometimes wrestling.
Yeah.
Sometimes I love it so much I can't get enough, and sometimes I hate it so much I can't watch. Well, welcome to the crew. I randomly picked wrestling podcasts and subscribed to Mouse Man. I listened for about 2 weeks and decided there were two people on that platform worth listening to. One was a hot announcer chick from Stardom or Shimmer, one of those women wrestling companies. The other worthwhile voice was a wrestler I hadn't heard of. What happened to be a thick dude who lived a woodsman's life, was a huge hip-hop guy and a Brett fan. Something this wrestler said shoved me towards the journey, and when he repeatedly said, "Question everything, wrestling, it's a work." He said, "Politics, it's a work." He said, "Your day job, that's a work too." So this Ben Hameen guy started. Why do I got to get the fat joke in now that I go back after the backhanded compliment? Okay. So this Ben Hameen guy started to do his own little conspiracy show on the platform. I love the early stuff talking about politics, some simpler stuff on the happy hour. I love the topic. Specifically, I loved how real the guy was. I went to school for social work and consider myself to be a pretty good judge of character, and it was really clear that if you asked Ben Hameen a question, you were getting all Ben. Good rib. I wasn't sure why I liked what Ben had to say as much as I did, but then it hit me once a week. I'm 6'1", 230 pounder who's been cutting trees and shooting deer since I was 8. I'm a hip-hop super nerd, and my first email address was hitman6616@hotmail.com. You guessed it, I'm a Brett guy. Around this time, I removed the mental block that kept me from asking questions about my church. Why would God change his mind about plural marriage? Why didn't God protect Joseph Smith? Why didn't God make clear what was to happen after Joseph's death? Why couldn't black people hold the priesthood before 1985? How the fuck can we believe that God gave Native Americans dark skin as punishment? Wow. Those are all pretty hard-hitting questions right there. These questions led me to the questions about Christianity, which led me to questions about God itself, which had led me to the question everything. As Ben often says, at this point, my favorite thing to say is, I don't know, and for the first time in my life, I'm okay with that. That's a good quote. I wouldn't call myself an atheist. I'm not sure what to call myself. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in Buddha. I don't believe in much anymore. My mind is completely open to what could be. This is the soul of science, a mind open to any possibility. When wrestling, whatever, I'm not putting them over, stopped to having Ben as a guest, good one. I left the platform and unsubscribed. A little while later, I was searching for a good wrestling podcast and so relieved to see Hameen Media and started with episode 1 of the Conspiracy Horsemen. I felt the same honesty from Stevie Richards, who I remembered being a great character from ECW and WWF, Big Sal likewise from ECW, and some Greek guy who was around sometimes but who always seemed like he was driving through a tunnel. Pause for pop. he put pause for pop in there actually as well. I can't tell people to leave their faith. I can't tell people to stay. Here's what I can tell you. I'm happier now not knowing and being honest about it and about not knowing than I ever was shouting from the rooftops that Mormonism was true. My wife's on the same journey with me, and she's happier to say, she says to tell you guys thanks for helping us both. We just stopped going, stopped believing. We were both full of questions, but it was Ben who helped me take down the final block and allow myself to question even the church. If you ever want to do a podcast about Mormonism on any related subject, feel free to drop me an email. Maybe I'll send it to that Brett address, so keep an eye on that one. Or mention it on the podcast. Remember, I served a mission. I went to the temple, wore garments, and was married in the temple, so I know plenty on the subject. Wow, that sounds super enticing,
Awful.
bro. By the
I'm sorry. That awful was like perfectly timed. Good job, Sal.
By the way, Ben, you pronounced my last name correctly last time, like lambs without an L. It's a bastardization of the German word for ant, and most people botch the spot, so good job.
But there is no ain't.
Yeah.
It's Antarctica.
That was good.
Good.
By the way, Ben, I love you guys, and you helped me get to the point where I question everything. That's my new reality. Thank you all for being awesome and producing something that brings me both joy and edification every week. Sorry about the length. I know GGP prefers the girth. Chris Ams, Kenora, Ontario, Canada.
Really, dude? Really?
P.S.
Really?
I hope my punctuation was good, bro. It was excellent. P.P.S. GGP, you're awesome, man. Us fans give you shit all the time, but I guarantee we're going to pop huge when you make it to WWE, and we couldn't actually imagine the Horsemen without you.
Oh, not as much as me.
Wow.
Wow, that was
Fucking Stevie.
definitely one of our longest emails, but very well written, and thank you guys for all the love for me today. I wasn't hand selecting those, and that does, not just because of this one, remain one of our most powerful. Obviously, people who've had some issues with depression or whatever, we help them escape. That's cool too. But that one is powerful, and because we're always, Sal and I, fighting this little atheist battle to not like wake up or you're so stupid, but like, hey man, like if they're gonna listen, that's one of the hardest minds, in my opinion, to try and convert out of something like that. And not convert, that's a wrong word. Awaken and question. And dude, here it is, proof positive, almost more of a payoff than anything I could imagine,
I think I'm going to tie everything together for everybody.
Please.
I think today's the day. I've had some awakenings, so I'm just gonna maybe everything will get solved tonight.
You're probably gonna admit that religion and science are the same.
Almost, except I'm going to tell the truth. And I'm going to actually give a more plausible theory. So at the end, we'll get to it.
GGP,
right.
how do you feel about the fans burying you so hard in these emails?
I can care less, dude. To be honest with you. You know what, dude? I'm the wise ass of the group.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. They want to get wise with me. I'll get wise with them back. This guy says I like the girth. You know what? Your wife's fat, so yeah, I love the girth. There you go. How about that, guy? And you're the one who came from a religion named More Men. And you're relax. All right, there, Slappy.
Stevie, how do you feel about these fans burying GGP in these emails?
Oh, no, I'm fine with it.
Stevie pays him to do it.
No, I said I will pop so huge because I look forward to the 12:30, 1:30, 2:30 while you're on the road driving between Raw and SmackDown, or Raw and 205 Live, or a Monday night house show, which draws incredibly well, and saying, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me? And I'll be like,
GGP shows up.
I'll be waking up. My wife would be like, who's that? Is that GGP again? I go, yes, dear. I'm like, I told you already. It's okay.
Did you see Ben Hameen's Tarp Emporium had a hell of a week at SmackDown there in Detroit?
Yeah.
It was about 2/3 full, upper deck, totally tarped off.
Well, now I see you're carrying curtains.
Yeah, well,
Actually covering up the sky boxes. They can't even.
It's the future. Curtains are the future. That's part of it. Every business has to expand, and we've gone from tarps to curtains. We're high class. But
hold on a second. Shout out though to Dynasty. Usually I like to fucking bury Chris Envy, but I heard they had a really good show and they drew very well on their women's show. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Christina Marie getting a great shine in her hometown. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we still have the record. It all been is the highest drawing, I guess, male inspired show.
They got on the news, man.
Yeah, no.
So did I.
Well, that's good promoting. Hopefully, we get on the news with every show, and we carry that through. And
we got on the news too with what's his name, with fucking we got on all the sites with.
Muhammad Hassan. Yeah, he's coming back on the 29th, so we'll see if it's unfinished business between the Horsemen.
Yeah, he has a mortgage payment too, so he needs that payday.
He's coming back during school season too. We'll see. I might have to beat him up real good, send him back to his school real quick.
The black guy with a shiner.
Just a little something. He touched me a couple times on the jaw, and we'll see about.
Well, something to show the kids.
Yeah. And he stiffed you with a punch too, Ben.
This is what you.
Yes, he did.
What your teacher does on the weekends, kids.
All right, so principal here. So we're gonna switch it up now and close up the gender-neutral messaging system. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. Like I said, we're gonna try and get through everything. It's so much, but some great emails as always. And then they're about between a week to 2 weeks old. So if you didn't get to it, keep your panties on. GGP will come over there and slap you. We'll read your shit coming up soon.
Stevie will send you some red bangs, red.
Oh, let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pitter-patter, let's
You know,
get at it.
the one of the things we shared was this cool Secure Team 10 video that kind of set this off, and this was a Yahoo story as well. But Ghost Ship, Forrest Whitaker shows up and
I was just about to say that.
and out of nowhere
Lazy eye?
after 8 years, right, driving in a circle with a lazy eye.
Kept making a left turn.
Yeah, he just kept going around. But out of nowhere, this ship shows up with none of the cargo. This Indonesian freighter that is 80,000 tons. A massive ship, and all the cargo, crew completely gone, missing. Obviously, 8 years this ship was possibly at sea. Or, undetected, and, many vessels and fishing boats and stuff in the area who would have seen this thing passing in and out and making its approach said it just appeared kind of out of nowhere to like a RKO and, showed up back in the Dragon's Triangle, which is the Chinese
Dragon's
version.
Boat Triangle.
Yeah.
Huh?
The off the Indonesian Chinese shores, their Bermuda Triangle, which led to the discussion of the Bermuda Triangle as well. And there's other occurrences and other folklore like this of these strange things happening. What are the theories behind it? Is there some type of portal, some gateway, so where it enters certain waters and time for that is consistent, but really years are going by. There's some type of time warp. This has been measured, and what is causing this? There's a couple different theories, from vortexes and certain black holes or energies, or even if it gets to alien discussion or Atlantis. But
It's
go
CERN.
ahead. It's CERN all the time. I think this was happening. This was happening before CERN was even quantified in the 1950s. But Stevie, why don't you set it off, and we'll come back to Sal because I want to let him go.
Well, this sounds eerily familiar to the Philadelphia experiment.
Yes.
From back in the 40s and 50s. I mean, obviously, technology is probably insane now. If that's true that they could do that back then, that's the only kind of logical explanation for a ship that had that kind of exposure, where somebody would have to see it if it was indeed going around and around, and the crew's non-existent, right?
Right.
So these are kind of stories that are in line in one way or another, where people were like, they were melted into the walls, or when they reappeared, they were in between the walls on the Philadelphia experiment.
Right.
Maybe this was one that was completely successful, where the entire crew did disappear. They were able to actually, this is straight up like Star Trek, like, transporter type stuff.
Well, I was talking to, and this is, a little off topic with this, but talking to Wife 124 with this, and she was saying she saw movies coming out where it's this plane that on its way to Jamaica and goes through Bermuda Triangle, hits a vortex, and they land, and it's 5 years later, and not a moment has passed. So some strange, conditioning again, as we've seen this, and this is true with the Bermuda Triangle. 71, I believe, in the video I was watching, 1971, guys flying his plane through, should have taken 90 minutes, but only 46 minutes passed on his clock, his watch, as he went through some time vortex. X amount of time had passed, but the clocks were completely, and they never stopped, or anything like that. So some strange passage through something is going on, if it's dimensional or if it's just, some people said that's where true north meets magnetic north. right there in that area. That's why they brush up against it. And is there a difference in shift in time there because of the energies kind of going in and out? Another thing that I kind of had to dispel right away was I saw it on RT, and it was like a minute 40 piece, and they're like, Bermuda Triangle, figure it out. And they're like, it's rogue waves, right? And we saw that in the what's the George Clooney movie with the boat and the big wave?
Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm.
Popeye.
So he like, we're conditioned to that, but that rogue waves wouldn't have shit to do with anything with multiple military aircraft being interfered with and all that kind of shit. You're not going to be worried about it at X amount of thousand of feet of a rogue wave, so that just seems more of a cover up to me than anything. Why would you put that shit out there when it's so easily dispelled? Go ahead, GGP, before you.
Well, I was going to say the rogue waves, they were denied by theoretical scientists, science in general, until 1995. Okay, so this is where I say science and religion are the same, because till 1995, rogue waves don't exist, and that's a fact because we're scientists and we're telling you, we're wearing the white lab coats, and because we said it, it's true. Well, 1995 comes around and they detected on a radar satellite from a German scientist named Wolfgang Rosenthal that at any point in time, there's always about 10 rogue waves on the planet in motion. And what a rogue wave is supposed to be some super wave. An average height of a wave is about 20 to 40 feet. Rogue waves go up about 80 to 100 feet, right? And it's their force. The problem is it's almost like hitting a wall, because the force behind a rogue wave is 9 metric tons per square foot.
That's 6 Nia Jacksons.
Sure, if you say so. But on average, a regular high wave, whether it's 40, 50, 60 feet, whatever the case may be, is 0.5 metric ton per square foot. So as you can see, the actual impact that it's going to cause from hitting one of these fucking things is devastating. Now, the difference between a rogue wave and a tsunami is that a rogue wave comes out of nowhere and you see it in the sea, but it never goes to shore. It will never go by land. Where a tsunami stays invisible, and what happens is when it goes close to the shore, that's when it builds up and just destroys everything on land.
Which is about to happen again here. So,
but the one thing you said, even though they're trying to pass this as fact now.
No, you said.
No, you said. Because I'm agreeing with you. I'm not agreeing with myself. That'd be asinine.
No, you said.
That's Stevie's gimmick. But regardless of the fact, okay, is that they can't explain why planes disappear, because planes don't fly 100 feet above the water.
That's what I'm saying. So that it could smash, major ships that have been lost there. My favorite one, sorry, Sal, I'm coming to you in just a second. Was World War II. Japan put 5 destroyers through there in a small fleet or armada, whatever, and all of them got fucked off. They're gone, and Japan's like, what's going on here? There's no even call for help or anything. They send out
wave too fast.
Yeah, got them. And then they sent out this big science ship with other boat expedition. That gets fucked over too. Like they just couldn't win for losing on that one, man. And that's pretty much true of every documented from like 1918 to 1991. Every case where a rescue mission went out, every one of them was a fail. There was never one under strange circumstances where they shouldn't have been. Sally, give us wave to face and then go ahead and do your thing.
No, the whole. Listen, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to follow that up. That was perfect. Basically, this whole wave thing, they started saying that was.
Tell us about the respect factor that Shawn Michaels has for these rogue waves.
Absolutely not. No, basically, what they started going on and saying how the USOs were the ones that were, shooting these columns of water straight up. And it wasn't even waves. It was these massive columns that were basically punching through planes. But now you weren't getting wreckages. You weren't getting anything. So even you're not guaranteed to kill these people.
If a massive column of water, shoots out directly into the sky to punch a plane out of the sky, what do you think is causing that?
Could be anything.
It's got to be an alien weapon or an Atlantis weapon. There's you can't just punch it like, hey, here comes a plane. Let's fucking shoot water 5,000 feet in the air.
Now that I think about it, it could have been God. God could have did that.
Maybe a whale farted.
Yeah.
It could have been God. God could make those things happen. Old Miracle Max himself making those things just fucking happen.
Have fun storming the castle. Miracle Max, that's hilarious.
Stevie, what are you thinking about?
Just want to take. I'm just waiting for people to stop taking pot shots at my God. Let's.
I'd say put the heat on God because it keeps it off of you. Otherwise, they're going to start coming back.
What? I'm not taking pot shots, but that's basically. It's the same thing as anybody else says. It's.
No one mentions Satan. So what are you talking about?
Wow.
I'm going to bring up the try to connect the red string on the wall, and as I'm thinking of all this stuff, and people talk about how even if you could try to fly, and this is a kind of in left field, talking about I can't pronounce it correctly. I say Antarctica.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that landmass that nobody's allowed to go to, and it spans from what Admiral Byrd says. It's pretty much as big as the United States, if not bigger. Infinite landmass.
Right.
So this could be where a vortex or Stargate or some type of, when you hear these vortexes, this is no different than kind of like a short ride black hole type thing or wormhole, where in space you can go through and transverse, great distances. This is and that does no sound. I'm just saying, this is once again something that we could purposely, and we could have perfected. We could have purposely tried to experiment with it and then perfected it through something like CERN, because what's the other side? It might just be somewhere on the Earth, or it might be somewhere on another Earth. There might be another planet. This is stuff that actually, if you really try to connect it, could be what Corey Good's talking about as well. Space jumping through these things.
Yeah.
They had stuff like that on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you guys ever seen that TV series.
Yeah. They Live is the earliest movie that I've seen where they do the space jumping.
Yeah.
From the platforms.
I never really watched it, but wasn't Quantum Leap what they were doing there as well? Kind of Stargate travel?
That was a time travel, though, but they could have went to a different Earth. It could have been interpreted as time travel, but today it could be a multiverse type show. I'm going to go back and watch it. It's a great show.
Yeah, I know a lot of people love that show for sure. It's definitely something I wouldn't mind going.
I'd like to go to a different Earth through a time portal where ECW and WCW didn't close down, and there were more options for the boys to get work. This way, Stevie can
don't fucking kill Hitler or anything. But here we go. I want to go back to the '80s in Memphis and make $40 a week. That's what I want to do with time travel.
So Stevie can big league me even harder in the locker room than he does on this fucking podcast.
I'm not even going to honor that with anything. I'm going to say this. TGP should write a book, science-based book, right next to Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye, that says the worst ways to use alien technology, the worst ways to use time travel, the worst case, how to really get any kind of humanity benefit out of technology.
He would be entertaining the masses. That is humanity's benefit.
I'm going to work Alex Porteau on GWF TV down in Texas.
Just because I wanted to go back in the 80s and work Jim Crockett Promotions and have a fucking grand old time doesn't necessarily mean I wouldn't do other things like invest in Apple, Yahoo, Google before they blew up so I could be a millionaire.
Yeah, because each and every
prevent 9/11 from happening.
That was number 5 on the list. After you make yourself rich and somehow politic to go on.
Pop was going to embed himself.
My wife just walked in like, what the fuck is going on? My God, you're like if you're never going to play the part of John Teeter. By the way, you'll never get.
Can anybody else imagine? Fucking Papa Don with Ricky Morton's hair.
There's your Photoshop, kids. Twitch.tv/conspiracy horseman.
Go
I think
ahead,
that's
pop
up
it
on
on
Twitter
GGP
right now,
mullet.
isn't it? Doesn't he have that mullet on Twitter right now? And somebody tweeted out saying we were going live about an hour or so or
Does
two
he? He's
ago.
got something on.
Kevin Murray, I think. No, I can't let this go, dude. You literally have said in this specific order, I'm going to go back. I'm going to work this territory. I'm going to go to this territory. I'm going to go to this territory. And if I got a little bit of time, I'm just going to stop the world from changing forever.
No, I never said that. I said I would
If they have
Time out,
a show at the Garden, if there's a show at the Garden that night, I'll go stop 9/11.
What if he stops 9/11, Ben never gets woke, we don't hang out?
Man, that would suck. I mean, it'd almost be worth it.
But Papa Don would have that $40 in his pocket,
Yeah,
and pat
yeah.
on his ass.
Hey, and Stevie would be home playing Fire Pro Wrestling with his GGP shirt on and GGP and Fire Pro.
Did you guys see this dirty turnbuckle gift they made of me and Stevie tossing you as a midget from Wolf of Wall Street?
No.
Dude,
Share it,
it's
please.
fucking phenomenal. I just retweeted it. It's
Oh my
excellent.
God.
It's excellent.
Am I even tagged on the tweet? I don't see it.
Just go to my Twitter. It's there. And you can go.
Dude, I'm
and you can,
seriously not kidding. You really wouldn't. I don't. Sorry, guys. This just. You have the ability to transverse time, and you're willing to go back and, like, deal with somebody like Jerry Lawler or Bill
All right,
Dundee.
hold on a second there, Sunshine. What the fuck would you do if you wanted to go back in time, huh?
I would.
Tell me.
You know what? I would probably stop JFK from getting assassinated. I would probably. I would
You would
probably
take a bullet
stop.
for him?
I would stop. What's that?
Would you take the bullet for him?
No, I just pushed Jackie in front of him.
Stevie would dress like Jack.
you're such a womanizer.
She's the real killer anyway,
Yeah.
according to Mandela effect. What do you mean? Like, I would take the ball. I can stop it. It's easy enough to stop. What are you
Dude,
talking
that's
about?
Awesome. The midget thing is hilarious.
Pop for the midget. Yeah.
it's strong.
And I'm not a
My wife was like, "You're screaming. What? Pop it on? Question mark. Of course.
Papa Don's your PSTD.
All right, Sally, bring us back
Yes.
now with
Sorry.
no,
we
that's
got
fine.
lost like we were in the Bermuda Triangle or something.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
So
Stevie sent a rogue wave at us.
That's it.
So what we have dispelled is, sure, maybe there is rogue waves. Maybe it does get crazy because some of the reports from U.S. Air Force that was flying over is what they had no idea where they were, 225 miles possibly away from base at shoreline, and those planes were never recovered. Post World War II, no trace of anything. Hundreds of ships, hundreds of boats. And I'm not talking small. We're talking full-scale warships,
Freighters.
tankers, freighters, just gone with no even SOS call for help of where they were, just completely vanished. So where it is maybe true north and magnetic north meeting, that does cause possibly crazy, types of waves to form that could take down a ship quick without any SOS call, maybe, but over and over and over again, I don't know. It's just too strange.
Can you elaborate to the masses what do you mean by true north and magnetic north? So they're on the same plane. This way, Stevie doesn't rip them and be a bully.
Yeah, let me. I'm actually gonna look it up too because that was one thing I was gonna do.
Oh, dude, when you go back in time, can you bring back the McRib full time too?
Yeah.
Can you do
I
that?
will. I'll bring back the McRib.
Really, hit all the important stuff.
So
I'll bring back bell-bottom jeans for you, Stevie.
And Larry Bud Melman.
I'll stop Disco from going to wrestling school.
Larry Keller.
what is geographic
wait.
true
Me
North
too?
Pole? The Earth rotates on the geographic north and south poles. The geographic north and south poles, where the lines of longitude, the meridians, converge in the north. The south and the north pole are directly opposite of one another. So, however our Earth is tilted straight through the Arctic and North Pole and South Pole that way. Magnetic North Pole is where the compass will rest as the Earth's rotating. So one is on that slant, but then as it comes around from magnetic north, as it would meet right there, so near the equator, just too much for whatever energy there to make not turbulence. What's the word I'm looking for in waves? Violent
It's
wave.
not vibration.
Not necessarily like turbulence in air, right? When you're flying, you know, whatever it would be that would cause white water, because that's what the Air Force reported. That's all they could kind of see was white water, and it's stirring around that way.
Is that the wake?
Could be, yeah, different types of wakes and the way the movement, what's the moon, lunar controls the tides, I guess. So the tides crashing into each other, maybe in the middle of the ocean where, you know, we've seen that picture where the two oceans meet and it's way blue and it's way darker, you know, something along those lines where because of the coral reef, because of the energy that the earth and the pull and the magnets, maybe the tidal waves there just get to be far more violent, which fine, that could be part of it, but maybe it's enough to pull you down into some type of vortex into under the ocean. You know what I mean? There's some undercurrent that's strong enough to be formed that can pull a whole ocean liner underneath there.
Almost like the Undertaker pulling you down through the ring.
Exactly. I mean, no one's.
But he doesn't. You know why? Because it's respect, Papa Don.
Yeah.
Oh, because he got arrested in a bar trying to tombstone a bouncer. Hey, speaking of vortex, recently didn't the Greek guy up in Canada, he was going skiing and he ended up in California like
Right.
a week later?
A perfect crossover. Go ahead, buddy.
I don't remember. That's all I know.
Yeah, he was.
Remembers he was Greek, which I don't think he was Greek.
No, he was
he?
Greek. I bet you $100 he's Greek. That's like 20 of my paydays.
Money's not worth anything these days. So.
20 of my $80, my 1980 paydays down in Memphis.
That's good. Yeah, I think that was right at Whiteface, man. Up at where the Olympic Training Center was, where he was skiing, if I remember correctly. And it was a whiteout that day, and he was skiing with buddies from work and whatnot. And all of a sudden, he's gone, man. Cell phone gone. Didn't have any of his stuff on him, wallet, any of that stuff. And a week later, he's walking around in California with a ski helmet on and all this other shit, and actually got another cell phone somehow, which wasn't, you know, as near impossible task. Had no idea who he was or where he was, and was just last thing he knew, he was skiing down a mountain, and all of a sudden he's in California a week later.
Well, how about the theory about the reason why we went to war with Iraq?
Yeah,
is because of the hidden Stargate over there. Sal, you said you're going to enlighten the masses. You're sitting there being quiet and playing with your TIE fighter. Please enlighten us.
No, just there's when we decided we were going to do the topic on the vortices all over the place. There are supposed to be the top 5 are supposed to be Stargates, and it's Egypt, Stonehenge, Peru, Lake Michigan of all places. And there was one more. Sidonia. Is that California?
Yeah, and there's 2 smaller ones, Arizona and Utah, right in that same area.
Is Peru where the Nazca lines are?
Yes.
Well, Peru is this is the big gate, the God gate that the dude got, I think, in 2005. Like, he found it. Shit's been there for God knows how long, but he found it, and it was the big gate with the smaller gate in between, with the little 6-foot door carved in this fucking thing. That they said, if the mortals went through, the heroes of, you know, the Aztecs or the Peruvians, whoever those people were, would go through, they would meet the gods. And the bigger gate was for when the gods decided to come out and touch the people.
Oh boy.
So, right. That's how that shit started.
Is anybody bobbing their foot or fucking with their mic? I
Somebody's
hear like
tapping
a little.
their fingers or something on a desk in an office at work.
No, it's not me, dude.
I just heard it sounded like some wind going across the microphone.
It was
maybe it was a rogue wave.
I think it was tapping or handling noise. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it's someone time traveling, trying to come up and work Superstars.
Or maybe it was someone trying to catch a bullet.
I can make a call and get both done.
Yeah. What was the one in Egypt is supposed to be in the pyramids, the alabaster altar, because alabaster is supposed to be able to focus sound waves and vibrations. Again, all this shit each one of these things, and then we covered Stonehenge, the blue stones, and Stonehenge.
Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt real quick. How about that one thing? I think GGP, you sent it about the pyramids and where their longitude lines were down to like the 5th decimal place or whatever, and how that number is exactly the speed of light. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, but a couple people told me it was Fugazi, so I don't know what to believe, but it's very close from what I understand. And then people were saying, well, they didn't use metric systems back in the Egyptian days. And I said, well, how do you know? Were you there? How do we not know they did? And they lost that technology, and then we rediscovered it. I mean, they supposedly
measurements. If it's going to be that close, it's that. It's not by.
Come on, man! All the mathematical measurements of the pyramids, how coincidental they are with the measurements of the Earth and
the tolerances and the fact that it's on a ley line. Like, how would they know? You know what I mean? What is it? What were they using the witching sticks or whatever to test the dowsing rods, right?
Supposedly there's a kid in Russia who's supposed to be this genius who claims he was a Martian from Mars that's been reincarnated as a human. I sent you guys the videos. I don't know if you guys seen it.
Fucking beat him up.
Okay.
That's ridiculous. Stop.
Wait. Listen, calm down.
Go ahead.
But he's saying that the secret to life is in the Sphinx. It has to do with the pyramids, and there's like a hidden entranceway behind the Sphinx ear, he believes, and that we'll find out exactly what the meaning of life is and why we're here and all this stuff if we unlock it. So just throwing it out there.
The Nicolas Cage's Hidden Treasure Part 3.
Hey.
Fucking Stu Hart show up.
Yeah,
he got me. Anyway, don't make fun of National Treasure. It's a little good movie, dude.
Stop it.
Better than Star Trek, that's for shit, sure.
Stop it. Anyway, so the whole thing with my theory now to get to on these Stargates.
It's about time.
Right. Well, I was letting you guys get your bullshit out, so now the truth can come out. So here's the thing. Think of it like a puddles of water, okay? Because people have traveled through the Bermuda Triangle and nothing has happened to them. They run fucking cruise ships and scuba diving and all kinds of horse shit through that place and nothing goes on. So what if it's a puddle? You live in a flood zone. It doesn't flood every day. It doesn't flood every time it rains. But when there's a collective, this shit builds up and this shit has to go out somewhere. So now you're flooded. So what if these areas, these vortexes, the vortices, the warp gates, whatever you want to call these things that pop up, if the world is just emitting, the planet is emitting these energies, these vibrations, and they seem to think that it's vibrations that are causing them. If the world is causing these vibrations and these puddles are popping up random places. But what if you do have these flood zones where this energy starts building up, the tectonic plates shift, or there's some other shift that the vibrations, something causes these vibrations. So now you get these anomalies, but they're not, it's not really an anomaly. It's happening over and over. It's just not happening regulated. Like, it's not like a geyser where you can be like, all right, cool, at 4:15, this is going to go off. So what if this shit is going off at just random times? It's happening, nobody knows.
Yeah.
So you're saying the planet's basically just farting?
Kind
letting
of.
out some
But
steam.
this ties into a bigger theory that could, we were discussing this the other day. When you die, you leave your body out on the ground. Your body will disintegrate. It will rot. It will turn into, basically go back to the earth. Okay, and it will re-nourish the shit physically. It'll re-nourish the earth. Your soul, your energy, whatever you want to call it, you can call it 1,000 different names. That goes up, and that redistributes back into the pot. Okay, that like the force. You want to use it that way. You look at it. You have the big pot of shit that all the energy comes out of. It's just getting recycled because now your energy's up there. So what if this energy? Your energy dies off and then mingles with other people's energy. And if you want to say you believe in reincarnation, you're allowed to do, go ahead. Great. You want to say that, this actually fits into your Bible stuff, the whole reincarnation, the whole resurrection, all that stuff. It just depends on who gets hold of it and who adds their flavor to it. But it's all the same shit. It's just the energy The body dies, the energy goes back, recycles, come back, rinse, repeat. Hindus and those guys, they're saying the better life you live here, you're going to come back as something way better in the next life. All right, great. If that's what you want to believe, if that's what gets the kids to go to bed at night, cool. If you do good, God's going to have you come up to heaven with them. Great. If that's what the kids believe, great, good for you. But it's all, if you want to look at just basically, flat out procedural of scientific things, scientific theory of the way things work, recycling is basically how it works. So however you want to paint it after that, whatever kind of Bible twist you want to put on it, and it's not shitting on anybody's religion, it fits into your religion. Because all you got to do is whoever got a hold of it and painted it their color and made it what they wanted to do, makes it fit to what their narrative needed to be. So all these star things and all these things could be collected energy, random acts, man. And then, just in these specific spots, it's kind of like, static link. If you have dogs, if anybody has dogs with a lot of hair, you find dog hair in the same fucking spots in your house every time. No matter how much you clean, you find them in the same corners. It's not going there on it just, that's where that shit is drawn to. What if the energy works the same way? That's all I'm saying. I'm just putting it on simpler terms.
You're saying it's like rain. So it comes down, then when it comes down, the water goes back into the atmosphere, it comes back down, it goes back up. So you're saying that basically all these anomalies in these vortex areas are just stuff that's going back into the atmosphere. I
like that. I mean, I like the fact of the Old Faithful, the ocean version, and you don't know when it's going to go off. And also, after we get booked for first season, second season, Conspiracy Horsemen, tracking down farting Earth. That's all we do is go to Hawaii to see volcanoes. We go to Wyoming to see the sulfur pits. We go to, here to see that.
I can see how long it takes, just to before we can stink out the car.
I say about 3 days. Stevie, what do you think about his theory and what's really going on there?
This is not my level of expertise whatsoever, and this is a mistake. This thing, like I said earlier a couple times, the whole thing with vortices, the whole thing with stargates, the whole thing with opening up what's it called, ripping the veil
portal.
Is that
yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ripping the veil, doing all these things. It's not so much that I think it's very benign to say that this guy, his trip was half as long as it was, and he kind of like went through a little mini wormhole that got him where he needed to be. That ghost ships are kind of like disappearing and then coming back and just floating around in places they should be seen. I'm more interested, number one, with the people on that ship and where they're at right now. Number two, everything else.
And they tried to track those people down too, like family members, like the logs and stuff were there. And they followed up on it. And they said, no, they've been missing. Every one of them they tried to follow up on.
And there's been TV shows and movies, fun little things. Like The Quantum Leap was actually one of them, I believe, where Amelia Earhart did go through something like that. Mm-hmm. And there are rumors that she was seen very, very far away, where you would think that a vortex opened up. She ended up somewhere, and they say she even lived out her life and died of old age on this island in was it the Philippines or something? Yes. It was nowhere close to where they said she went down to the Bermuda Triangle.
No, and there's like two photographs, like a side profile one and then one face on, with people think it might be her because she was just stuck out, a white woman in a Philippines small island that way, right?
But it was nowhere near where her alleged crash site or in the ocean. Like, we're talking other side of the world type stuff.
Yep. And, speaking of going to the other side of the world, one of the very first documented occurrences of the Bermuda Triangle was on the Columbus voyage, where he was seeing strange lightning. They were dealing with thrashing tides and their compasses of that time, which obviously there's no electronics, 1492. They're having issues, and it was just spinning in a circle. So
didn't he say saw a fireball crashing into the sea as well?
Crash out of the sea as well. So some UFO activity or Planet X activity at that time. Of course, you know, you're going to see everything in the sky with no light pollution at that time on a clear night, you know. A couple of the other big ones, 1918 USS Cyclops. Navy ship disappears, resulting in the largest single loss of life in history of the U.S. Navy. It went missing without a trace with a crew of 309 sometime after March 4th, 1918, after departing the island of Barbados. There's a couple more in there. Jump forward to Flight 19. They were training aircrafts of TBM Avenger bombers of U.S. Navy that went missing on December 5th, 1945, flying over the Atlantic. They were scheduled to go due east from Florida Naval Base for 120 miles, then north for 73 miles, and then get back over the final 120-mile route that would return them to the naval base. But strangely, they never came back. Adding to the mystery, two rescue Martin Mariner aircraft with 13 men crews were sent to search for the missing flights, but one of the Martin Mariners itself didn't return and was never traced again. So, I mean, and it goes on. It seems like anywhere between a 5-year to a 1-year span, all the way through the decades going forward, even as recent as 2017 now where I'm looking here.
Is that the SSL Pharaoh?
Nope, that's the 2015 one. The worst in 30 years. The SSL Pharaoh was a 790-foot container ship departed Jacksonville, Florida, bound for Puerto Rico with 33 crew members on board carrying a large number of containers, trailers, and vehicles. Tropical storm hundreds of miles away developed into a fierce hurricane. Stand back. Dashed down towards El Faro and started circling around the ship. Soon all communications from the ship went silent, and quite unbelievably, and having created havoc on the sea, the hurricane went back almost the way it came from. After extensive search for weeks, the ship could finally be located sitting upright in one piece at a depth of about 15,000 feet in the Atlantic, but there were no traces of any crew members whatsoever. So that's like Stevie said, that's a weird anomaly, man. Like, you never find a body. A ship goes down, they find like one life preserver with the name of the ship on it. Something along those lines. There was a clue where it went wrong, but you'd think with all these now, dude, even though it's about 1 million square miles, which I don't want to make light of how small that is, but compared to the rest of the ocean, it's pretty small, right? Dude, that place has just got to be littered like a graveyard now. It seems like there'd be scuba divers out there looking for that shit all the time, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, what about those? I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, people disappearing and reappearing. What about those the was it 12 people, 14 people that disappeared in Antarctica for 2 weeks, and then they didn't know what happened, and then they sent us a rescue team to go get them, and they finally found them, and they were all signed the NDA not to talk about what happened. Maybe there's a vortex in Antarctica.
I think there definitely is.
Antarctica.
Thank you.
Especially if there's pyramids there, right? And we're talking about ley lines, some vortex, energy passing from point to harness it frequency-wise. That's what, you know, and how many pyramids are there that are probably in the deep jungles that have been covered over, right? We still keep finding these lost cities of where there's points of energy. And why? Is it just the fact of how we rotate as a magnet and where we can go in and out of space? You know, I'm sure there's windows when you probably don't want to, you know, take off, or, you know, all that's got to be worked out with because you're not just going to punch it through some magnetic shit. If we are going to space, that's the other question.
Space Force. Well, 3 things, man. Number 1, as far as Lake Michigan, is that the thing with what's that? Champagne or whatever, Champ?
No,
whatever
that's Lake Champlain. That's not Lake Michigan.
No,
wasn't there something in Lake Michigan very similar to the Loch Ness Monster that reappears and disappears, or was that just Lake Champ?
It's called Champ. It's called
that's
Champ.
in Lake Champlain.
Yeah, they call it Champ
so
because
it's
of
2
that.
different things.
Yeah, the thing in Michigan, these 2 dudes found it. They still haven't given out location. It looks like basically the reason they're not giving out the thing, they're saying it's because of the Native American beliefs. They don't want to disrespect them, and they don't want to disrespect anything else, and they're keeping their shit covered. But they're saying what it looks like are a bunch of these platforms that look like stargates in these like structures underneath. It looks like Atlantis, like a set from an Atlantis movie, and it's all in Lake Michigan. And apparently, the Native Americans in the area have a whole thing about it. So,
Wow.
Do you know what it is?
I haven't heard even anything about this. This is all news to me, man.
Yeah, me too. Now, why don't you explain to the people out there in Conspiracy Horseman land what ley lines are?
got it?
Holy shit! I closed that.
Well, ley lines, the short end of it, and without getting all Google on it, is fucking. Those are magic energy, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Depending on what your take is. They're energy that is created by the planet, and they stretch all across Stonehenge. Is supposed to have like 14 interconnecting at one point. That's what made it a special spot.
Right, and even up by.
So they're imaginary lines that people that realized they discovered that all these special things on the planet, the pyramids, Stonehenge, they all line up. They all line up on a straight line, whether it's vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and they all intersect with one another. Is that what you're telling me?
More or less, yeah. It's similar to what the jabronis looked up and went, those 4 stars, that's a guy's belt. Yeah, that's totally a guy's belt. Yeah. Hey, look at those 2 stars. Oh, it's a dragon. I could see it. Yeah, yeah. No, they made that shit up too. But it became an actual.
How dare you
Became
make
a
fun of the
study.
Greeks who invented astronomy, you prick.
Hey, look, those 3 curved stars. Well, one there, and then one over. That's a guy's bow. Let's make a story about it. Sounds
What
good.
if Shawn Michaels invented astronomy? What would that look like?
There would be respect given, is what it would be. There'd be
The Star Stopper. And with ley lines, too, I mean, it's important because there's obviously with the dowsing rods or probably even more ancient ways to measure it that we don't know about anymore. It could be lost knowledge. It's where they intersect, and it's usually places like Stonehenge or even, it seemed like a lot of early naval navigation could spot this kind of stuff for whether it was how the tides were moving so you could make safe passage around Africa and things along those lines without getting ripped to shreds by great whites or coral reefs. That's not a fun way to go. But they're more than just like, oh, it's one line through some longitude and latitude. There are some that are that run right through many churches that were Knights Templar, and they're built specifically on that to harness some type of energy that was believed in through whatever pagan beliefs that turned into Christian beliefs in medieval times, and that's the way it's gone. But it's where they intersect and why, and Templars actually use them to move along for, I believe, probably because they had the religious belief that would protect them. But that's how they also did a lot with astronomy and mapping stars.
Here's something in talking about a place that might be of odd interest to somebody. That 666 address in New York City that they overpaid by $2 billion, and they had to get that exact spot. Who's to say there isn't some, what I mean? There's not some belief that this particular, building or somewhere in it holds something like that.
Do you know what the vortex is, or the most strong energy point in New York is? What do you guys think?
Statue of Liberty.
World Trade Center.
Not bad, not bad.
The Masonic Temple.
Not bad. Montauk out on Long Island.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
interesting, right?
That's where they had the
Tesla
That's
shit,
Ultra.
right? Yeah.
All right.
the whole laboratory thing.
Yep.
Let me chime into Stevie's comment. So 666 in Manhattan or wherever the fuck it is now. So this starts off the same way. When I was a kid, me and my brother, we went out. There was a card, a Roger Maris card. This is going to get somewhere, I promise. So a Roger Maris card. We went to the flea market in Jersey, and the guy told us it was worth $20. So we were real excited. Wow, this card's worth $20. A guy came over and offered me $30 for it, and I sold him the card. Okay. That shit is worth something to someone who wants it. So somebody who has this belief, someone who has, we have to get this thing, they will pay whatever the fuck they have to in order to get this specific area because they want it for a reason. whether it's real, whether it's not, is irrelevant, because in that fuckhead's mind, that guy has that extra $2 million extra. You know what I mean? It's
I don't know, $2 billion
$2 billion.
extra. No. I know what you're saying. Either way, it's just.
If they want it for a reason, they get it for a reason. You know what I mean? Like that was the deal. Like, if it's worth something to those guys, if they feel it's a religious thing, and that's going to get them the extra power, he's going to make that $2 billion back next year, if he does the right shit. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like.
No, I get that. There's kind of a fun speculative perspective on it to say there's certain bits of land. Like he was talking about Montauk. I never even thought about that. And for people that don't know Montauk, just watch Stranger Things. That's pretty much the Montauk project.
And if you want to go back and listen to our Tesla episode where he had his massive lab to channel frequency and waves in what he was building for Edison at the time, it was on Montauk. So he obviously had some knowledge given to him of where he knew the place to channel the most energy, right?
Didn't he say the secret to life is through understanding life is through understanding frequency 3, 6, and 9?
Yeah. So that was very interesting when I came across that in our studies today, and not that New York is known to be one, but there's smaller stargates, smaller energy fields that are obviously mapped out through some type of imaging system, you know, like whether it's flare lenses that can pick it up or whatever it is. Yeah.
I heard actually Tesla wanted to actually jump in time and time travel up to work Bobo Brazil in Detroit.
Yeah.
That was really what he was trying to do with all the, you know.
That's funny. I heard he went to Texas. No, I heard he went to Texas to stop a bullet with wearing a catcher's mitt or something to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I said, and also
no, it's exactly what I said.
I'm not going to be.
I want to see Stevie with a catcher's mitt saving the president.
He actually use his band like a whip, like Indiana Jones, and hit the
whip
bullet.
The fucking strong.
Still sounds pretty noble to me.
Good. You could be Jamie Noble all day long. He doesn't get arrested in Florida.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Man. So
wrestling will just fucking take anything and bring it to a screeching halt.
That's bad.
Especially when you keep bringing it up.
I'm not bringing it. I'm bringing up time travel.
Brought it up. You brought up Bobo Brazil.
Paul Marzola had a fucking good one, man. If the Ghostbusters building, that would have counted for the strongest spot.
It definitely would have at that time, for sure.
That'd be awesome. That's the firehouse down in Brooklyn, I think, right?
That'd have been fucking amazing.
All right. So what other announcements?
I'll save you, Mr. President. Look out. He's not in the book depository. He's under the sewer.
Oh, fuck.
Stevie would no-sell the bullet.
Jackie has a gun.
He's super kicked Jackie out of the car.
Maybe Mandela the fuck out of me. Mandela affected me. Like, what the fuck? It's switching as I'm trying to.
I wouldn't doubt if it was controlled by something greater like CERN, where they're like trying to head off people who are going back to do that.
As a matter of fact, I wanted to bring something else up. I got notes. Give me a minute. Go ahead.
All right,
continue with your bullshit.
Did we freeze again? Somebody's asking. I don't think so.
No, we're not frozen. The show just came to a screeching halt.
There's too much heat is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of heat getting thrown around.
God, you were talking about CERN trying to make sure that the events happened, I guess.
Yeah, well, right. What if they wanted to? This is the problem with time travel of like, oh, we did one butterfly effect, but now somebody else has fallen into the right hands or wrong hands from our agenda. So let's be time traveling to change realities and, you know, just screw things up. So it just one thing would beget the next, I guess.
It's like you give them one table, then you have to put the guy through two tables, and then you have to put the guy through a flaming table.
Right.
You know, it never ends. All right, there, librarian.
It'll be my spot.
Thank you.
So I was just reading this now when I was going through some shit. So today they went through this whole bullshit about I went through Disclosed TV, and I started reading.
You went through Disclosed TV?
Well, then there was just a lot of gay porn. But when I looked on Disclose TV, I found an old article about CERN finally opening the portal to other dimensions. Right?
Told you.
Yeah, back in 2016.
Told you.
Back in 2016, and what has happened? Nothing.
What are you talking about? What happened?
Absolutely nothing has happened.
King Tut's name changed, dude.
Stop it.
Dude, tell me that it wasn't spelled that way.
No, it was seriously. I will.
This is another one, guys. We were actually passing this around, Mandela effect. I was looking up something else on King Tut. We got this one, whatever it is, slot machine, Pharaoh's Gold or whatever the fuck it is, my new mark job, right? And I was like, oh, I was gonna spell something. Oh, will you